He's going to be, hi, Nicholas, welcome back. He's going to be talking to us about the news stories making international headlines. And one of our top stories this morning concerns Burkina Faso.
Well, let's go right away to the Wall Street Journal Europe edition. And the front page for that paper, along with several other papers around the world, is this whole question of events in Ouagadougou, the capital of Burkina Faso. What do we have there? The headline, Burkina Faso in uproar after the president tries to extend his rule, and we can see parliament there being taken over literally by protesters. Of course, we are in a situation where confusion reigns, really. Over the last 48 hours, what we've got now is a situation of what exactly is going to happen with Blaise Compaoré, who has been in power for 27 years and tried to introduce some constitutional changes which would allow him to stay on a bit more. So that story very much making the buzz.
Now, one paper is explaining why the rest of the world needs to pay attention to what's going on there.
Well, indeed, and you could say, oh, it's just a small country landlocked in West Africa, far from anywhere, but that's not the case, and the Washington Post makes this point very clearly. It's pointing out in this piece there why it matters, and it says, well, this is a long-standing ally of Washington, Blaise Compaoré. What we've also got is a base there in Ouagadougou, a military base for the Americans, and we've got a focus on other leaders in the region who are trying to introduce constitutional changes as well, or mulling them in order to stay on to power. So the whole question there about is there some sort of African Spring, equivalent to the Arab Spring, about to unfold? And if so, wouldn't that result in more instability, which we saw with the Arab Spring? So the Washington Post there being very cautious, saying we do not want instability in Burkina Faso, because that can have a real reach, because Compaoré is a very important regional leader in Africa.
Now, the French press is also covering events in what is a former French colony.
Well, in the old days under the French, it was known as Upper Volta, wasn't it? So, of course, a really big story in France here. And Libération reporting about that there. You can see a two-page spread. The street protesters, supported by the army, bring down the regime. That's its headline there. And the opening words to that piece there that you can see with Libération is, it is total confusion. Now, it has another piece, if we can look more closely, talking about Compaoré in 1987 when he first came to power. And it says that he then betrayed his best friend, Thomas Sankara. This is not a nice man. Their interpretation of him is perhaps now with this whole event this week of him being toppled, question mark, whether that is some kind of retribution for his behavior in the past.
And in fact, Compaoré was suspected of having a hand in his friend's murder.
Absolutely. They were very close friends indeed. So the French press taking a great interest in that.
Now, instability in Africa, and again, instability in the Middle East, with the papers reporting on Israel's decision to close the al-Aqsa mosque in Jerusalem, which they've now partially reopened this Friday morning.
Well, let's look at the front page of the foreign page, so the Independent, the British paper, and it's saying a declaration of war. It's quoting the Palestinian president, Mahmoud Abbas, saying that there is really too far that Israel can go in terms of what is the third holiest site for Muslims, the al-Aqsa compound in Jerusalem. Now, we've had several incidents, haven't we, of attacks in Jerusalem, and the Israeli government is responding to that. But let's look at al-Quds, the Palestinian paper, which is in its editorial, it's saying, listen, Israel, there is a red line you can cross. You must not cross it. Otherwise, there will be very serious consequences. With that editorial, actually, the al-Quds paper actually puts a cartoon which says that its fear is that Israel has a secret agenda to really build and develop construction around the mosque. Look at that cartoon there. You can see the Temple Mount, the Al-Aqsa mosque compound. One picture showing it as a beautiful site that we can all appreciate and enjoy and worship at. But then also, what do you have? The development of skyscrapers. For Muslims, this whole idea of blocking the site of the compound would be horrific.
And blocking that
and that's the al-Quds perspective on that. Really interesting.
Now, this Friday is also Halloween, and one paper reports that parents are tricking their children after the treats. That is so unfair.
Well, we're always concentrating on children, aren't we, with Halloween, of course. But the Wall Street Journal has this piece, which I really enjoyed. It's about the parents not getting their revenge so much, but saying, enough with the sugar. It's too much. We're going to trick your treat away from you the following night. So they're going to creep into the bedroom of the kids, take all their candy, and actually give them a present, a kind of swap. So the Wall Street...
I'm not sure that's a really great idea, actually.
Well, the kids are going to be outraged, aren't they?
They're going to be disappointed, but it depends what the gift is, I guess. All right, thank you so much, Nicholas Rushworth, joining us there with the day's headlines, international headlines. We're going to be back in just a few minutes. Our focus report coming up takes a look at the growing Islamist state presence in Egypt. Stay with us on Full Time Gathering.